Well, it's an Eagles-Pats Super Bowl, but first we got to talk the NFC AFC Conference Championship games here on NFL Weekly, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh. I'm happy for you, Steve. I'm happy for you,
It's
Steve.
a great song.
I'm not happy for him. He's just basking this in right now. I
He
feel
should.
like
He
we're
should.
back to like the NFC East show because it's all of just us on the outskirts and him going to the Super Bowl and us, well,
Sums up the entire
definitely me hating it.
Yeah.
I'm livid right now.
I will say that out of all Eagles fans that I know, Steve is the classiest.
I know it's hard
The
to come in
classiest.
here
Which is a
and
low
hate on
standard.
the Eagles to you.
low-
But if we gave like the rest of the link or the fan base in here, then that would be easier to.
Can we just argue that a human is really smart? Humans or humanity can be kind of dumb. I think I think there's a level of that in every fandom.
Drunk humans in dog masks.
But there's a certain level to it in the Eagles fan base. Let's be honest.
Well,
I
they had to put Crisco on polls. That says everything.
Yes, that does say.
I'm not going to defend whatever you're bringing up, but I will say the Eagles fan base is the most passionate, one of the most passionate fan bases in the world.
Passion
Oh,
is a
they're-
good
Passion's
word
a
to
great
use.
word.
Yeah,
Passion, definitely not subtle, but we'll get into everything. This is the NFL Weekly Show on AfterBuzz TV. We got the conference championship games this weekend. We're going to break them down. My name is Jenna Bussiere. You can find me on Twitter at Jenna_Bussiere.
I'm Josh Rodriguez. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh_Rodriguez_, and you can see how much I'm dreading the Super Bowl.
And I'm Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter almost exclusively. I am the resident AfterBuzz TV Eagles fan
And
at
Super
Steve
Bowl.
Kaufmann. That is KAUFMANN.
And I'm DeAnjilo. You can hit me up on Twitter at DeAnjilo TV or on Instagram at DeAnjilo. Actually, Jenna, I wanted
Oh,
you to
yeah,
know.
you had the
Yes,
curveball
I
for
have-
me.
I have something for you.
What do you have to say?
I just thought this was really fascinating. You would love to know this.
I'm not sure that I would.
in the
based
past-
off your tone.
In the past 7 to 8 years, the Cowboys are the only one seed to not make the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
So I really enjoy
know-
sharing that with you.
I should hate you for that, but I get that.
Yeah.
I feel like being a Cowboys fan, I know, and that just sounds like that would be true to me. I'm not surprised by that at all.
Yeah,
so.
very mediocre franchise for the past
Yeah.
few years.
Ooh.
Sorry,
yeah.
let's get
I guess we should shit on them. Yeah.
the AFC NFC Championship games, and
You know
we're just
what?
taking
I'm
shots at
trying to
Jenna.
leave the Cowboys season in the past. We're now going on to the Super Bowl, and we have this conference championship games this weekend, but we're somehow finding a way to talk about the Cowboys.
needed to
I
be
know,
brought
trust
up.
me, I'm
I did.
disappointed
Yeah.
enough.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you
I'm
for
here
that.
I'm here for
Thanks
that.
so much.
I'm here for you.
I'll lay off
So
it.
we're
I'll lay
gonna
off it.
get. So we had Jags, Pats as the first game, Vikings, Eagles obviously as the second one. So let's do a quick weekend roundup then. What are your first initial thoughts coming off these games? What were you
What-
surprised by? What do you think?
I thought the Vikings were going to win. I'm very surprised the way the Eagles,
Yeah.
not the fact that the Eagles
Yep.
won, the way they won surprised me.
I don't think anyone thought this would
Yeah.
be a blowout,
Yeah.
including the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, as fired up as I thought they were, I don't think they were expecting to go up against the best defense in the league
Yeah.
and just wreck them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wreck them like Wreck-It
Absolutely.
Ralph.
Yeah, and then the Jaguars Patriots, I had a feeling that would be a competitive game. I thought the Jaguars could actually win that game, but Brady going Brady.
I know, seriously, the Jags were in it. That was sad for me to
was
see
sad.
them
Well-
have the lead. It was 20-10. They were up by 10 going early in the fourth quarter. So you had to know that the Pats were going to come back from that. Like, they were not going to let that go.
Also, we're officially at a point where we can say the Jaguars have a lead-blowing problem. Like, last week, they blew a lead to the Steelers and then eventually came back and won. We have to admit this now, that the Jaguars have a problem with getting the lead and not keeping the
I
lead.
mean,
they-
they're a young team. They don't have the
Yeah.
experience that the Steelers and the
And those are the
Patriots
two
have, so
best-
they're fighting
I
hard
would say
against
those are the
these
two
teams.
best, objectively,
Yeah.
two best teams in the NFL that they played back to back.
The fact that they even had leads on those two
That's
teams
more.
seems pretty
That's what we should
incredible,
be
you know?
focusing on. Yeah.
But
The positive stuff here.
But it's also a lack of confidence in Blake Bortles. I mean, they got up, 10 points? It was 20-10. I think they just decided, all right, let's just run out the clock. Let's hold on to it. They're not aggressive with their play calling because of their lack of faith in Blake Bortles, who actually played decently throughout the playoffs. I just think it's something to do with that. If they had a different quarterback, you know, maybe they're not running the ball as much. Maybe they're
But
taking more
Bortles
shots.
is their guy. It's not the Jacksonville Jaguars without
they
Blake
should- they should
Bortles
make it
this
fair.
And
year.
it's not his
You
fault.
know?
And it's not his fault.
they
I
should
mean,
make it
I think
fair.
he played well, but at the same time, you can tell that their play calling is very limited.
Yeah.
The Patriots stopped the run today. I think Leonard
Yeah.
Fournette averaged like 3 yards a carry off the top of my head. And the second half, they just kind of got conservative, and it's because they didn't want Blake Bortles throwing that pick six to change the game, and it kind of bit him at the end. And
they
I think
started off so hot that we're seeing here. They had the opening
Oh, yeah,
The first half's are
touchdown
really good. Yeah.
drive.
I mean, Blake Bortles did play really well.
he played well.
Yeah.
He played
Yeah,
well.
he did.
But-
he was good. Listen, he's played a lot better than people have
And
given
can
him
we
credit
talk
for.
about this Corey Grant guy? Talk about, I really like this move by Jacksonville pulling out kind of a secret weapon because obviously the Pats knew they had to stop the run. If they stop the run, rely on Bortles, not going to be a good day for Jacksonville. But the fact that they whipped out this random Corey Grant, who's only had like 60 attempts in his entire career the past 3 years or something, for him, he played very well and ran it. Like me and my friends were looking around, who is this guy? And then also the Lewis touchdown just felt like we hadn't seen a lot from him this postseason.
Yeah.
So they were kind of pulling out the secret weapons
They played a
because they
great
knew
game.
they had to match Belichick's studying and all of his Excel spreadsheets of research on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I should point out that up until probably mid-December, every week we would talk about Eli Manning, and every week I would talk about he's gone to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
He's gone to
I don't know
Jacksonville.
if he is anymore.
I'm pretty sure Bortles is the guy.
Yeah.
And they need to get on board with Bortles being the guy.
For
or
how
another
long?
team.
We'll see.
No.
He's the guy
He's
right
not the
now,
Guy. He's not the
but-
guy because he did play a good game, but he still had an opportunity to win the game, and they did not drive down the field to win that
but
football
he
game.
did
Yeah.
move
And
the
that's
football.
when you need the quarterback. You need your in those games, in those situations. We're talking about getting to a Super Bowl. You got to have a guy where you're not scared that he can't deliver in that moment.
But all right, listen, Bortles didn't play bad though. He did move the football downfield. He actually, that fourth down attempt wasn't a bad play. It was just a good.
I know we're not. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
he played slightly
he played
above
fine.
average
Yeah, he was fine.
football,
He
which
was-
is good.
Right.
Good for a Jaguars team, but now they have Super Bowl aspirations. And if they have Super Bowl aspirations, he's not the guy to do that.
So
Okay, but just to refute that point, they were in the AFC Championship game in New England with a lead in the fourth
And
quarter.
what's the reason they didn't get over the hump?
I don't know-
Because
I
they
don't-
were scared of Blake Bortles not
Okay.
delivering.
But
a little
is
bit of
that
that.
Blake Bortles' problem or their problem? That's what they need to reassess. And they also need to understand that they could, in the offseason, if they decide they want to replace Blake Bortles, throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
What are these analogies,
I know
Steve?
your analogies are
But you know what I mean? That, like
Old
you
ones.
could
Crazy
ruin the whole
analogies.
team that got you this far
Yeah.
by getting rid of Blake Bortles, the guy you're unsure about. Maybe you just need to get sure about him. Maybe
don't-
that's the only problem.
Put more.
He's
the
been
team
there for
have more
5 to 6
confidence
years.
in
What
him.
else? Like,
No,
what
they
else? We
need-
know who he is. You know what I mean? Like, what's
we
going to
know
change?
who he is. I don't think he would have been as big a risk as we're all claiming he was.
What-
I think
what
it
else-
was the coaching staff that didn't want to, like, whoever's playing the calls, whoever's making the
Calling the
calls,
plays.
whoever's making the calls is deciding I don't want to put Blake in a position to make a mistake.
Because they've seen him for 5
True.
to 6 years
For
make bad
5-6 years,
decisions.
he's still not like
He's
a deep
the same
passer.
quarterback.
He's still running
They
for a lot
changed
of
the
first
game
downs.
plan. He's not. He hasn't changed as a quarterback. He's the same guy. The game plan changed. Okay, we're going to limit your opportunities for mistakes, which is fine. I think that is as good as it's going to get with Blake Bortles.
Interesting.
And that, like, they have an uber talented team. In fact, the only thing that they can improve is the quarterback position.
It's true. And they're missing Allen Robinson
Yeah.
too, which like I was thinking that they're in the game.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They didn't even have Allen Robinson.
And they got
Yeah,
this
they
far.
didn't have Allen
Yeah.
Robinson. I know. I was thinking how
Yeah.
much of a difference that was going to make
Yeah.
in this game. But as we were on this Bortles subject, I mean, him and Brady's numbers this game were extremely comparable, almost identical.
Yep.
293 yards for Bortles, 290 for Brady, 2 touchdowns for Brady, 1 for Bortles, no picks for either of them. Both were sacked 3 times. I mean, that's not necessarily on them. But it's interesting when you put it that way, you know, that they both had very similar games.
And I think we've mentioned that this is a young team, and I think this is where it comes into play. And Black Jones in the chat, if I was the Jags, at the very least, keep the time moving on those second and third down and completions that stop time for New England and give
Yes.
Brady more time.
Yes.
That
Great
there,
point.
There
Great
was
point.
there was a lack of time management when they had the lead. To
I
keep,
was shocked by how many times the Patriots had to punt. Like
Me
how
too,
many
like-
times that they just didn't convert on
The
third
defense
downs,
played
didn't
great.
get
check
down
down,
the
it was
field.
check down. I mean, they on a few third downs.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
made 3 or 4 third downs. It's check down 2 yards to Deion Lewis. Check down 3 yards to Deion Lewis. Like Brady did
Yeah.
not take shots, and honestly, he was patient all game. I think that speaks to Brady. I mean, he didn't force anything. He didn't try anything downfield. He didn't force anything.
Well, it speaks to that Jaguar
But
defense.
Amendola, who we just
That
saw,
too.
was the
Yeah.
dude today.
Oh, God.
Amendola,
That was huge.
playoff. Amendola had the game of his life.
It was huge.
the 2 touchdowns. He had both the fourth quarter touchdowns that gave them the lead and
No
solidified the win. No,
Gronk in
Gronk
the
went out.
second
That's a
half.
great point. I mean, that
Edelman.
could have completely made the game different.
Yeah.
But let's also talk about the penalties in this game and the officiating. So the Patriots only scored the touchdown in the first half because of a pass interference call and an unnecessary roughness that got them down the field, got them in field goal range. I thought the calls were kind of shady. I wasn't sure about them, and that was kind of the reason why they even scored and closed the gap in the first half.
Bill Belichick paid the refs. It's okay.
Not like
not a big deal.
we were
It's
talking
common,
about
whatever.
we were talking about this briefly. That like anyone who thinks that there's a cult of anyone who thinks there's some type of vast conspiracy in favor of the New England Patriots, I like to entertain these crazy conspiracy theories. But let's be real. Like the games aren't rigged. The games are still being played fairly legit, but some rules are written in a way
There's
to
favoritism.
I don't.
Brady is the NFL's favorite child, is the ref's favorite kid.
But it's not like that play to play. I'm saying that like pass interference in the past 15 years has become a more common call that would side on the way of a quarterback like Tom Brady. And like
Yeah,
just
I see
that like roughing the passer is another one that it sides on. Like if you're a quarterback like Michael Vick or Donovan McNabb who's mobile, like roughing the passer doesn't affect you as much as it does if you're Tom Brady who never gets out of that pocket. Like that's how the rules are written. Like that exists.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel when I watch penalties like this, where I'm like, that's the game. That's the game. If you're Jacksonville, you need to be prepared to play the game.
I agree. I mean, it's part of the game. Refs going to blow calls, and it was huge, but there were plenty of other opportunities for the
Yeah.
Jaguars to win this football game.
That's
They
very
kind of
true.
beat themselves to a certain extent
Jacksonville,
here.
6 penalties for 98 yards. New England, 1 penalty for 10 yards. That's
Pretty
it. Like,
egregious, though. That's
that
like,
is insane.
yeah.
I mean, there's no. I mean, what penalties are going to get though? I mean, they're not taking shots downfield. Jacksonville's not really taking shots downfield, so you're not going to get pass interference calls. A lot of their plays are like slants or like out routes, and then on top of that, they're running the football with Leonard Fournette. So what penalties are going to be called? I think New England is a disciplined team to begin with. Anyway.
Yeah.
They're one of the most disciplined teams in the league anyway. So
Yeah.
I'd say in
I mean,
sports.
I don't think there wasn't a play where I was like, oh, that's a penalty on the Patriots, or I would like to say that there was, but there wasn't. I mean,
I
looking
thought
back at the game, there wasn't anything where I was like,
pass-
oh, they got away with one there.
I think the pass
So-
interference that Jacksonville had, AJ Poye
was
on
huge.
Brandon Cooks, was ridiculous.
I
That
didn't
was not a
agree with that.
catchable ball at all.
wasn't.
It was probably like 15 yards to his right. There was no way
I agree.
he was going to catch the ball, and he was already tiptoeing out of bounds. All Boye did was just kind of like push him out of bounds, like make sure he was out of bounds. But that was not interference at all, and that was the biggest one that led to the Patriots touchdown in the first half.
I agree.
That was kind of like, that would be a completely different game. It'd be
No, it would be. You're right.
14-3 at half, which at the same time maybe would have pissed the Pats off a little bit more, that this game they would have come out and just
I
demolished
think it
them
would
like
have
they
poked the
did the
Giant a little
Titans.
more.
Exactly, like wake the beast a little bit.
I don't know. I think that play in particular was interesting because I think it's the whole verbiage of you have to play the football is weird because what does that mean if the ball is kind of uncatchable? You should still
There's no penalty if it's uncatchable.
Yeah, it
But then-
has to
That's
be
the
a
rule.
But then
catchable
that's-
ball. That's
Yeah.
interference. Yeah.
then that's weird.
It was
But then how do you determine
strange.
what's an uncatchable ball versus
I don't
catchable
know.
ball?
Well,
I
dependent
think
on
you can
If-
tell.
yeah, you can tell.
could reach
It was
forward and
literally
not-
like 10 to 15.
Yeah,
The
it
ball was
wasn't close.
not
That
near
wasn't
him.
catchable. I agree
Not
with you.
near him at all. If it's like in your hands and then there was, the cornerback does something absolutely ridiculous, knocks you on your back, it doesn't make you
Yeah.
not be able to catch the ball, then that's different. I mean, also with Gronk going out, I thought that it was actually insane that Gronk went out and stayed out with the concussion protocol. I feel like, how is Rob Gronkowski not going to try to get himself back in this game?
That's why-
if he has a concussion,
And
he has a
somebody
concussion.
tweeted something so funny, like, how do you even test Rob Gronkowski for a concussion? Like, how do you even put him through concussion protocol? I was like, dang,
I
that's
saw
mean.
a tweet. It was like, Rob, how many fingers am I holding up? And then it says Rob Gronkowski says 69. He's like, okay, he's good.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's good to go back in.
Well, I think that is the positive thing about the protocol. Is like, how do you bench Rob Gronkowski? You make a protocol for every player.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter if they're Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, or like Jake
Yeah.
Elliott. If you get hit helmet to helmet and you get up wobbly, you have to go and go through a concussion test. And you either have to be really, really good at fooling a concussion test,
Yeah.
or you have a concussion.
It seemed like they played them pretty well, too. I mean, to that point, obviously it was 2 halves to it, but it seemed like they had a really good game plan for him.
Ah, so disappointing. I
Question.
thought Jags were going to do it, man.
Me too. I wanted them
I
to.
really,
do.
really
Okay,
wanted to see
20
the
to
Jags do it.
24, that's honestly almost a win for Jacksonville. Like, there's no moral, mental wins, but at the same time, AFC Championship game, Jacksonville against the Patriots, never thought it was going to be that tight, probably.
I have a question for you guys. All right, so the Patriots had a 3rd and 9. Jaguars had 1 timeout left, and then Dion Lewis gets like, whatever, 15 yards and seals the game, which shocked the hell out of me because I figured the Jaguars were going to stop and get the ball back.
Yeah, on 3rd and long.
Jaguars get the ball back. Do they win?
Probably not, because they had an opportunity. I don't think Blake Bortles is going to drive down the field and win a football.
But it only comes down to that one. I mean, I know that there's been several opportunities, but it could be that's one more play, one more shot that they could have took advantage of, you know?
I wanted to see it. I wanted to see
Like,
it.
how many times did the Vikings and
great.
Keenum have it against the Saints, but it took that one that Stephon Diggs had that breakout play with 4 seconds left, you know?
Good point.
It only takes one sometimes.
That's true.
Just takes one
Hashtag
bomb.
sports.
It would have been dog. I feel like that would have been one of the biggest upsets.
Oh, I
NFL
would have
history.
loved
Oh,
it.
it would have absolutely been.
Yeah.
Like that game, that was the exciting game today.
Yeah, it definitely was a
Well,
more competitive
the
game.
widespread, exciting, competitive football game. It
Still
was-
always having a dog in the fight, always thinking that the Jags are going to still get that shot.
I was really rooting for the Jaguars.
Jacksonville.
Everybody
I think
was.
everybody
And,
was. I
and
mean,
also
how many
there's
Super Bowls
I
are we gonna
alluded
see the
I alluded to it
Patriots
last
in?
week, and I can't say much because it is spoilery. But there's a show on NBC called The Good Place that they've written into the. They've written
You
into
love
the.
this show.
They've
It's the
written
second straight week
They've,
of
said
they've
it
written
last
referencing
well,
week,
this show.
too.
one of the main characters in the show is a huge fan of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
And like I don't want to say too much about the show because it's very spoilery beyond
Yeah.
that, but they make it very clear that they're in the afterlife, and in the afterlife, the Jaguars are considered stupid. Like there was a whole scene in the show recently that was
That's so random.
where he was in the afterlife and he's like, "Did the Jacksonville Jaguars win the Super Bowl?" And he was like, "No, no, not at all."
Oh, well, that makes more sense.
But like it was, but
That's
like
not- that's
but
now.
But it
Yeah,
kept getting,
exactly.
but it
like
kept getting.
laughable.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a better word.
No,
than
but it was. They had an episode.
stupid. I'm like, what do you mean?
They had an
stupid?
episode 2 weeks ago where they were laughing at that same character for thinking the Jacksonville Jaguars were any good, and like this was the most. I think this was the most recent episode, and we're like, yo, they're like going to the AFC Championship game. And you're throwing shade on your show that you wrote months ago.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. And like my favorite line from the show, not to talk about another show on a show about shows, but but he was just
Showception.
like, man, I don't know what the big deal is. They just need an offense and a defense and some rule
a
changes.
quarterback.
It was a really good line. And
some refs in their favor.
I wanted the Jacksonville Jaguars to win and go to the Super Bowl. If for nothing else, then NBC has the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And you're guaranteed to see that character in some context. And I guarantee you they wrote the script
Yeah.
to happen that way. Like, I guarantee they wrote that between last week and this week.
So I guess to wrap it up, then, was anybody really surprised that the Patriots came out on top of
No,
this
we
one?
just hope they lost. but-
Yeah, I think it was all just everyone's.
But it was a
heart.
great game, and I think
was-
everyone enjoyed
Well,
that.
I think halftime. Like, if you had told me at halftime the Patriots would make it out. No, I guess even then it's
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
they
only
came back-
14-10.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
came
like,
back
after
from
they
way
scored the
worse,
touchdown.
23. I was actually surprised at how happy Bill Belichick was after, like how much
'Cause they could have
emotion
actually
he
lost.
showed.
Yeah, like,
I know,
or the
but
Gronk-
he
That's
still
a
is
good-
always
great football
so
team.
poker face and so stern looking. Like for him to celebrate, hug Patricia was the most awkward thing to watch.
that was crazy.
It looks like we don't really want to hug, but we're kind of hugging now. Let's jump up and down.
I would say there was a point in the third quarter with the Gronk injury, and they were up 2 scores, that I was genuinely on the Jacksonville.
all right, Jags,
I was
let's
on
go.
the Jacksonville train where I was like, I think that's it. I think they're punching their ticket, and we're going to have an Eagles-Jacksonville one of these.
You already the
You already
Eagles
knew.
game didn't
You
even
already
happen
I know.
yet. You
Come on.
already
What is he going to say?
knew.
The Vikings? I mean, you
Yeah,
gotta
like,
say
of
the
course I'm
Eagles.
going to say
All
the
right,
Eagles.
Well, you bring it up, so let's move on to the Eagles-Vikings game.
Please let.
I think everybody was shocked by this score, 38-7. At one point, so the Vikings started up, and we'll show they open up the game with the touchdown to Kyle Rudolph, and then the Eagles go on to have 5 scores in a row, 38 unanswered points, and this is against the #1 defense in
Disgusting.
the NFL. How does this Vikings defense allow 38 points? I was mind-boggled this entire game how this was happening.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Oh, Philadelphia.
Oh my
No,
God, are you
Nick
kidding me?
Foles.
Philadelphia.
I've been
Wasn't it
saving
just
that.
Pennsylvania?
Now it's Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, which resides in Pennsylvania.
How does Carson Wentz feel like that? It's
Well-
got to be the most conflicting emotions ever.
I'm
Well,
sure he's
let's be
happy.
fair. In this moment, he's just happy that
Why
the team he's a part of
conflicting?
keeps moving forward.
I think he probably feels amazing because he gets a second shot at this.
I
Like
mean,
he
but-
tried this in 2013, it didn't get past the wild
He's
card
talking
round.
about Wentz.
Now
I'm
he's
talking
no,
about
he's
Wentz.
talking about
Oh,
Wentz.
sorry, I
Oh,
thought
of
you
course
Foles.
Foles is great. Yeah, Foles is his whole career is like irony because they traded him away because they didn't think he would win a Super Bowl. And,
But,
hey,
like,
he's
And
in the
now it's
Super Bowl.
him versus his starter/backup
Yeah.
at the Rams.
Yeah.
To be fair, his fault. Like,
How? Like,
Also,
what?
how does
I think
Why?
he honestly just
a great game.
tapped into his inner Carson Wentz in this game to not get sacked on that play, to scramble,
great game.
get
Line.
mobility, exactly, put up 300+ yards and 3 touchdowns, and hit 9 different receivers. Like, he found his inner Wentz.
I don't
He
know what
really
he
tapped
found
in.
something else besides his inner Wentz because
He
I didn't
was-
expect that at all.
I didn't expect this either.
Yeah.
Like, I think we were talking about this last week. We were expecting a close 3-point shootout, like no defense, like a lot of just points,
Yeah.
nail biting. Like, this was not what anyone expected.
No, not at all.
And
Good for
anyone
him,
who
man.
wasn't a Vikings fan or an Eagles fan probably hated this game because it's not an entertaining.
trash.
I mean, I
It's,
hated
it's
this
not an
game.
entertaining game to
Trash
watch.
game.
Yeah.
I
Being a Cowboys fan made me hate this game even more than probably being a third-party viewer, you know? Sitting
Yeah.
there watching the Eagles run through the Vikings, who I was so confident in. Not the game I was looking for at all.
Dude, this game changed.
I
on
was
the
about
pick
to
six.
shut it off fourth quarter.
The
I was
pick
about
six-
to say, I'm out.
That first
The
quarter
pick-
pick six was
because
everything.
When the Vikings came, the first possession of the game, they marched right down the field, scored a touchdown. And
Right.
like, okay,
Yeah.
this is the Minnesota team I thought was going
and
to
then,
show up.
then
So
3 and out us.
Looked
So they get the
so
ball
good in the
back. They
beginning,
3 and out
yeah.
us. They get the ball back.
Back.
Like, I was in a place
Yeah.
because I was invited to go somewhere pretty close to my house to watch this game, and I had made a cognizant choice to, like, I don't know, don't expect me, don't save me a seat.
Yeah.
Mainly because I didn't want to be in public if this game was going to be even close. Like, I didn't want to. I didn't.
I
stressful.
have that feeling
Yeah,
all
it's
too
too
often.
stressful.
I know where
didn't-
you're coming
I
from
didn't
with
need
that.
I was happy
Yep.
watching that game at home. So I was happy. I was also very happy to see us go up 2 scores by halftime
Yeah.
and be like, well, let's go out. But like this, but when these first 3 drives, let's say, both sides, so a touchdown, a touchdown, a 3 and out, right up until the pick 6, it was a completely different game.
It was.
It was the game we all thought it would be. Where it would be like Minnesota would like trounce us, and we would have to really, really try to put up some type of defense to maybe keep the score close enough that we can eke it out by the end.
It's amazing what that pick six did, and then also that fumble.
Oh, that
the fumble by the
Yeah.
Vikings. That was the
Guys
game.
had 2
Red zone.
interceptions.
That was the
the
game.
pick 6 was a 50-yard return, and then the
Yeah.
fumble also.
I
I
really-
feel like and the fumble, I believe we have. I think we have something.
Yeah, he
Maybe we
played it.
don't.
He played it.
We played it
Yeah, we
already.
played it.
Sorry,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
jumped the
yeah.
gun a little bit because I feel like that was the theme for the Vikings this entire game. They would get into field goal range. They would get into goal range.
just wasn't their day.
Yes, it would be third down.
Yeah.
There'd be a fumble. They wouldn't convert. They tried on that fourth down. Nothing. They wouldn't get any points off it, or maybe have to settle for a field goal. Like they were getting down the field and then not doing it when it mattered.
It's a very Vikings conclusion to have a great divisional round win like that and just to cancel
Isn't
it out
that
with
sad?
that.
The whole
Yeah.
Case Keenum story, the fact that the Super Bowl is being played in Minnesota, like it was too good to be true for
He lost him
Minnesota
some
to
money,
go.
too.
You know,
He lost money.
like it would be too good for us. We didn't deserve it.
But can we also give the Eagles some credit?
Hell yeah.
But I'm saying
hell
like,
yeah.
but specifically the
No,
Eagles.
you get no credit.
But like,
Yeah.
but the
As
Eagles.
good as Foles was, the defense changed that game.
Honestly, the
But,
Eagles defense
but I'm
played
saying
phenomenal.
specifically
Yes,
the credit that they've been well prepared for the Minnesota Vikings for
Seriously.
10 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you bring that up because this doesn't make any sense. We obviously know every NFL team prepares for every game, especially this being a conference championship game. It didn't look like Minnesota was ready at all.
No.
Like, how are you not ready for JJ? Like, you know to stop the run. I don't know where their focus was. Their defense looked so unprepared to me.
I don't know what it was. I think the pick six changed everything. It was like a punch in the like if you're a boxer, you get punched in the
Yeah.
mouth and you just kind of
Yeah, I just didn't see the
It
fight
threw
back.
them off
yeah,
guard.
I think I didn't see the
Yes.
fight back.
Yeah.
from
Yes,
that.
exactly.
I was surprised. Even in the second half, when the second half started, I was like, okay, they should get some couple scores. I feel like they were done. That was it.
Yeah.
for them.
Also,
Seemed
Lincoln
so
Financial
deflated
Field.
Yeah. Say that too.
mentally.
Yeah.
Lincoln Financial Field, these
Oh my
passionate Eagles fans,
gosh.
Yeah,
like,
it's big.
I've
That's
heard
big.
because they came in and silenced us, but that pick six changed
Mm-hmm.
everything. And there were journalists tweeting from the Lincoln Financial Field saying, like, guys, like the building is moving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Like,
could see
they're
that.
loud.
I mean, you saw all of those fans in their dog masks.
Like-
Already had like "See you in the Super Bowl" Patriots signs already. I mean, I was envious of those fans being in that position. That stadium looked
Yeah.
like so much fun tonight.
Yeah, to me, it was less about X's and O's today, and it was more just about the Vikings got punched in the mouth and just did not know how
Yeah.
to
They
didn't
respond.
fight back.
They got
Yeah.
this
And just-
punched in the mouth,
Yeah.
disoriented. It's a loud
Every phase of the
stadium.
game.
Like
Yeah.
things
Sorry.
just kept going
Because-
wrong. Like
yeah.
quicksand wise, where
Yeah.
just one thing went
Quicksand. Yeah.
wrong. And then
Okay,
another thing
let's
went
show
wrong, and
this
then we're just,
Oh god.
first
Like, what the
drive
frick?
of the
That's a
second
great
half.
throw.
Are you kidding me right
Okay,
now?
Like-
also.
Stop it!
Flea-
That's not supposed to happen against the
Flea
best team.
flicker to Torrey Smith, and this was also the weekend of flickers. What was it with this? Conference championship weekend.
Yeah,
that was
oh my God,
every
yeah, look at us, yeah,
every
yeah.
single game had a flea flicker in it.
God.
What is that? Why?
Oh, I love it.
Oh, they was picking on Trey Waynes too. He got
Okay,
He got-
and while
yeah,
this is up,
worked.
the Vikings secondary
It was just
played like trash.
No one
today.
played good. Nobody. I mean,
I
nobody
get that,
played
but
good
like
today.
secondary.
No,
Oh my
I didn't
God!
hear
everybody
Xavier
was
Rhodes'
wide
name, so I'm guessing he had a
open.
good game. I think that means y'all didn't throw in his direction or something.
Foles was incredible today. The
Played a great
defense,
game.
it was just. Like I said, I mean, sometimes you just have to throw X's and O's out the window, and I just think that pick six. I know I keep saying it, but that pick six just turned the game on its head.
Like in the replacements.
And we were
miles
so
and miles of heart.
Yeah.
and we were just so prepared for them.
Yeah,
in
you
a way
were.
that Carson Wentz going down didn't affect it. Didn't affect our defense
Right.
preparing for the Minnesota Vikings every week.
Yeah.
Because we had known we were probably going to be the 1 seed. They were probably going to be the 2 seed. So we had prepared for the Minnesota Vikings. So much so that I was more worried last week that the Saints could win.
Right. I never used to
Because we weren't compared. We weren't necessarily ready for the Saints.
Would've been a
I
way
was
better
worried-
game.
I was
Yeah.
wor- I was worried last week because we
DeAnjilo's
weren't
gorgeous
necessarily
sitting here
prepared for the
talking
Falcons.
about
This
it.
game
And
was
listen,
trash.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
not
it
saying like
was.
when I
It
make that
really
X's and O
was.
comment, I'm not saying like don't give credit. The
Oh
Eagles,
no!
yeah, they
But you're
deserve-
saying like
That goes without
momentum.
saying.
and
Yeah,
the-
they wouldn't be in this position if it
they
wasn't
were
for
getting
him,
pressure on
obviously.
Case. I mean, the defense. I mean, the Eagles' defense was unbelievable, and I think we talk about the Eagles' defense because we had an NFC East show being really good, but I feel like they don't get enough national attention. They're one of the better defenses in the league, and they showed it today.
Yeah.
And they forced 2 turnovers, and even when they weren't forcing turnovers, they were forcing Case to check down to Jarek
Yeah.
McKinnon. You know, they get 2 yards. They didn't really do much, and they
We'll
were
see.
on.
They're
they were
forcing
on
a lot of
Case the
punts.
whole
We'll see
They
game.
how
were
good they
keeping the
really
ball.
are. We'll see how good they really
Against
are.
the Pats.
The Vikings offense and the Pats offense, or any other offense you
They-
play.
they-
A
before,
little
They're
bit
good
different.
defense.
Lot
Brady,
different.
Keenum on the scale, pretty
Yeah.
similar guys.
Yeah.
I mean, Brady's been
Keenum, referees,
This will be
it's
his
a tough-
10th
Yeah.
appearance.
Yeah.
Keenum's
It's the
never
same
been
exact
one,
thing.
so.
Yeah. Well,
a
so
little
we'll
bit
see how.
different
I
of
don't
a
want to.
matchup.
I'm not gonna give him all that right
I feel like
now.
Foles
No,
looked
they're
like
good.
a stone cold
No,
killer tonight. Like he just the confidence, but he also never looked like he was letting up. Like every game face was the same, no matter how much they were up by.
Well,
It was
being up
still
two,
like all
but
business.
like being up 2 scores is pretty. Being
Yeah.
up 2 scores is pretty helpful to
Yeah,
do
it's
that.
great.
Yeah.
You
It's a
can
great
feel
situation.
you can feel like a stone cold killer if it's like if worst case scenario
I
it's a
was
pick
shocked
6,
by
I'm
his-
still up a score.
His
Yeah.
presence and his mentality.
That
in
pick
this
6
game.
was huge. Though.
Oh, that pick 6 was everything.
Yeah. And the fumble too. Defense. The defense are the 2 biggest plays of the game. And I know Foles had a great game, and there's a lot of highlights that we just showed Foles balling out. But the 2 biggest plays of the game were definitely from the defense.
When the defense just put
They
the
had to.
whole team
Because
on.
the Vikings score a touchdown there, make it 14-14. Who knows how the game shows up? Because I fully believe that this game was all about momentum. Lincoln Financial Field was rocking.
Yeah,
Like, it was just,
seriously.
I don't know, and that's just the way it is. Home field advantage. And I remember saying this to you, like the Eagles need to get the 1 seed. Like they have to get the 1 seed because if that game was in Minnesota, I don't think that happens at all. I think
agree.
it's vice versa.
Yeah, but if that game was in Minnesota and the pick 6 happened, I don't think they get as rocked. I don't think they
Right,
feel
they
as
bounce back, yeah.
they don't feel as
Agreed.
uncomfortable. They
Right.
don't feel as off balance. They're
Exactly.
still at home. They're still in a safe place.
Right.
They didn't have to fly anywhere. Like I'm with you momentum wise.
If it's in Minnesota and they're hearing Skull instead of Foles, how dirty was that of the Eagles fans
I
too?
actually think that's hilarious.
It
That
is
was great.
hilarious,
But the
but
Viking
I think
fans
it's
ran up
because
the Rocky steps too, so it's even.
Oh,
The
is
Viking
it
fans are
even?
douchey a little bit too. So.
even though Philly fans were chucking beers at Viking fans' heads
Don't
on
go
the
to the
way
game.
into
It's
the
Philly,
stadium.
baby.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
Lincoln. It's like you consented once you walked
That
in.
is pretty sick.
There's a
If that
level
was
of-
my team,
Is-
There's a level of
Yeah,
hostility
yeah.
you're owning up to right there in
Absolutely.
Lincoln Financial Field.
if that was my team, I would love the Skull to Foles chance. But since I'm obviously a Cowboys fan, it's like, oh man,
You'll need a Foles
come
game
on,
like this to
man,
win
it's
the
doing
Super
him
Bowl.
so dirty. And as Doug Peterson said, we're going to the stinking Super Bowl. How corny.
Oh, Doug.
Great coach though.
Oh, Doug, great coach. Wow.
That's
yeah.
the kind of
coach of the
person.
year,
Oh,
probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Likely.
Yeah,
I
I
don't-
would think so.
What was your
I
record
mean-
last year? 7-9.
yeah, not winning.
Yeah.
Started off
I guess
like
you do gotta
almost
give some-
5-0 or
I think-
something.
Yeah,
at
we
the
were.
beginning,
We
yeah.
had an incredible run last year, like early run last year. But like coach of the, you would think.
Marone.
I think
You
they've
would
already voted for it, but I think it might be Sean McVay. But now,
McVay,
yeah.
That would
Yeah,
be great too,
McVay's
first
up
year
there.
coach.
But
Yeah.
you would think similar to how the Academy Award for Best Director should go to the best directed film, not necessarily the best film. You would think Coach of the Year should go to the coach who held a team together like this. So holding a team together since this Rams game to still be going to the Super Bowl, like that's an incredible feat.
Agreed.
And an incredibly built thing that can
agree.
maintain.
I agree.
I still cannot believe you guys are going to the Super Bowl. I really can't. I cannot believe this Vikings game went the way that it did.
This did convince me that Carson Wentz should not have won MVP though. Sorry.
Oh, right, because they did
point.
it without him
I mean, they
and
did
put
it
up
without him.
38 points without him.
You're no
you know?
longer MVP in that. I mean, you're a great quarterback, but you're not an MVP anymore.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But
Because Tom Brady without the Patriots with no Tom Brady.
I don't know.
That
They had Jimmy
this
G.
team is not.
If they had Jimmy G, who knows?
I don't know. He did look
Listen,
damn good. Yeah.
Brady missed the whole season. The Patriots went 11-5. And then he missed 4 games last year. They went 3-1. Just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Don't get me started on Tom
I
Brady.
mean, Tom Brady is like NFL god
He's
level.
the
How
GOAT.
you,
How
can't,
he's-
you
he's-
cannot talk
he's
in
Hall of Famer.
You just really, it's one of those guys that's undebatable. Like, you really can't say anything bad about
Well,
him.
And
no,
if we're,
you
if we're
You
talking
can make
three,
an argument for like,
if we go into this though, I mean,
I
if
know,
we're
we're all-
the 3-1, I'm sorry, that 3-1 thing, they play trash teams. Firstly, Matt Castle year he had Randy Moss. I mean, we could
11-5.
Tom Brady, and they missed the playoffs.
Look, they're like one of the few teams in history.
And the
who missed
next year,
11-5.
he came back with the
Yeah,
same
one
team,
of
and
the-
they went undefeated until they played
they
the
lost
Giants in the
it.
Super Bowl.
yeah.
So, all right,
yeah,
and so
twice.
again,
Giants
Tom
are the
Brady's the GOAT.
kryptonite.
He's not the GOAT.
So,
All right,
speaking of
so-
Tom Brady, the GOAT, we got to talk about the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
we're getting into the Super Bowl. Let's talk about it. Pats, Eagles, unsuspecting Super Bowl.
Defending
This will
world-
be the 3rd time the Eagles are going. They're 0-2 in Super Bowls. This will be the 10th appearance for the Patriots. They are 5-4, I believe. Yes, because they have
Yes.
5 wins. So that
Depending-
makes sense.
well-
5-4.
The New England Patriots are defending world champions.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
I meant to look up the stat and I didn't have enough time, but that has to be rare to begin with.
Well,
To be a defending world
This
champion.
is their 3rd trip in 4 seasons. Also,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
have just a different level of dynasty. The Patriots, you know.
Tom Brady's been there 8 times, which is as many times as the Steelers have been there, and the Steelers have been there the
in
most of
history.
any
Steelers are the
team.
ones.
That's
So
insane.
Disgusting.
it's very remarkable. It's unbelievable. I'm sorry that you have to play the Patriots again in your Super Bowl appearance.
Right.
Is-
Which, as we know, they met in 2004, and the
You should call
Patriots
T.O.
beat the Eagles. I think he's been trying to get back in, right?
I
He's
feel
been
like
trying
he'd
to
be
get out
pretty
of
effective.
retirement.
Yeah.
I mean,
He was on the.
he was also cut from an arena football team. So let's maybe not call T.O.
T.O. could come in hot and be like a Josh Gordon and still
really
look
could.
like he doesn't miss a beat. I
believe-
really think
do
so.
Too. I do too.
Sure, he
For
could
one
do that.
game?
He could do that for.
I feel like he might not be needed though. Like we
No,
said,
he isn't.
Foles threw to 9 different receivers. You guys have so many weapons, so many between your run game and your receiving unit, your tight ends. Like everybody is skilled.
I'm excited for this game. I'm excited
Are you?
because Super Bowls in general just have that air about them that there's a rumble for the next 14 days. There's just going to be this huge buzz heading
it's
into
excitement,
one
yeah.
football game. There's going to be so much excitement.
Never
so
felt
to
it.
have
It's good. I'm happy for you.
Thank
God,
you.
the amount of
Thank
beers
you. And
I'm
I-
gonna drink, I'm so
04
excited.
04, I did feel it. Like
Okay.
I've had one.
Yeah.
So while you're saying you're excited, what is your confidence level? Because this is the Patriots we're
Out of
talking
10?
about. We know their
Yeah, out of
resume.
10.
Sure,
7.
however you want to rank it.
Wow.
7.
Really?
Okay.
That-
What are you banking that on?
Right.
I think the Patriots have been relatively untested, and when they were tested, we saw today with Jacksonville, they can pull out the W, but they won't look good every play. Like they're a rocky team, no pun intended. But like they're an uneven team, and there are weaknesses to exploit that
Definitely.
we
They're
can
beatable.
definitely find, and they're a
They're a
beatable
beatable
team.
team.
That is
Yes.
there have been New England Patriots teams that looked unbeatable at this point. This is not one of those teams.
Agreed.
I agree with you.
Do you think that your offense and Foles, I guess specifically, is going to have the same kind of game that they just had tonight?
No, I think today's game was
Really?
in a postseason context was a literal anomaly.
But don't
Yeah.
you think they're going to need it? They're going to have to play score to score, toe to toe
But it could
with
be
the Pats
but
offensively.
like, are you saying our offense gives up that output, but our defense might give up that many points and it'd be a shootout? I could see that,
Okay.
but
I'm seeing, Foles having another like 300+ yard game against the Patriots. I mean, it's hard to do that for him. being
we
the
haven't
best-
seen enough from Foles this year to really have felt that today was possible.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true. You don't necessarily need 300 yards to beat the Patriots. I mean, the defense,
It's all about that defense and that
Yeah.
D
It
line.
is about the defense, and
Yeah.
Foles just has to play well. He doesn't have. You just don't blow the game. I mean, listen, the Jags almost beat the Patriots in New England with Blake Bortles as their quarterback, not doing too much.
Yeah.
So it is possible to do it. I mean, I'm a Giants fan. I saw Eli Manning beat the Patriots twice in the
Right.
Super Bowl, and I'm not saying that to
Pulling
brag,
out
but-
all the tricks.
but just
Throwing
like
some
Eli,
helmet
like
catches,
Eli
Eagles.
Manning beat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
there's ways to
Twice.
do it.
Yeah.
The defense has to get to Tom Brady. I think the Eagles are capable of doing that. I think I'd feel a lot more comfortable if Wentz was quarterback. I think I
Well, yeah.
would
Of
outright
course.
say the Eagles are beating the Patriots if Wentz was quarterback. Right now, I don't know.
But this
haven't
game
even-
proved that Foles can, he has the potential
Can
to
he?
do
He
it.
can.
He's capable. I
If
mean, that
you ran it-
Vikings.
I'm not.
The Vikings
I take the
defense,
Vikings defense over the
exactly.
Pats defense.
If you ran it,
Exactly.
if you
Yeah.
ran the game 5 times, Foles would win at least 5 of those times. Just on pure math.
I mean, 10 times.
Sorry, yes, sorry.
Okay.
If you ran the
you
game
just said-
10,
Yeah, I was like, what?
if you ran the game 10 times, at minimum, Foles would win that game 5 times.
You mean that game as in the Vikings game?
No, the Super Bowl. If you ran the Super Bowl 10 times, if you ran a simulation,
You think so? Really?
yeah, I think he's that. I think he proved today that he's that good. You need to win 8 or 9 times in that simulation to be
Yeah.
considered.
The favorite. So
Yeah,
you're saying
like-
they're even.
I'm saying they're fairly. I think they're fairly even, and anyone who's favoring the Patriots,
They're not even.
All right,
anyone
yeah,
who's
I
favoring the
wanna hear-
Patriots is
Tom
basing
Brady's
it
on the other
on
side.
previous year's stats, and this isn't the same
It's
New England
so
Patriots.
hard to
team.
go
No,
against the
no,
Pats, though.
just
It's so
no.
hard to rule them out
Yeah.
ever. I mean, 28-3 last
Hey,
year.
sports
It's so
books,
hard to
give
rule
me
them out.
3 to 1.
So
I
we
will give
obviously-
you money.
We obviously know who Steve is taking, rightfully so. So let's hear from you two what your picks are then.
You know, I'm trying to find a way to logically pick the Eagles, and I think they can win. I'd feel so much more comfortable if Wentz was starting, because I think that with Wentz playing, I'd feel more comfortable at the quarterback position. I think they'd be able to put up points against the Patriots defense, because I don't think the Patriots defense is that good.
What
They're
is the
good.
NFL's position on the quarterback having a cane?
Carson.
Wentz would do it. I mean, you saw him rocking that cane out there tonight.
He was on a
walking
crutch
around.
last week, and he's on a cane this week. Like,
He's
2
making
weeks?
moves.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
They got
He's
drugs
trying to
for that.
heal
They can
quickly.
shoot
He's like, how quickly can we make this happen? Like,
No,
whatever drugs
I-
you got, whatever
Foles has earned it,
robo
though.
knee you have to make.
I'm
kidding.
being glib. I don't want to see him in there at all.
Yeah, my gut reaction is Patriots. I hate to say
Really?
it. Yeah.
Because you want the Eagles to win.
I'm
so
rooting-
everybody
I'm rooting
here
for the
wants
Eagles.
Eagles.
I want them
You
to
want
win.
them. I
Oh,
still
no, I
do
don't want
not
to be
want
I
them.
hope they tie, and then they have to cancel the
Haters
Super Bowl
gonna
for
hate.
some
A
reason.
hater's
okay.
gonna hate, and I'm gonna hate.
Yeah.
So
You mean
say it, but I know.
Well, they go to overtime forever, though, right?
Yeah, they
and
would,
it's
but-
sudden death forever.
Yeah, but I mean, in this scenario, that's a fantasy in my head. I would
Of
like
course.
for them to.
You would just like them to go
Tie
sudden death for
forever.
Yeah, just-
sudden death for so
Just
long
like,
that
oh,
they
guys,
call
I'm
it.
tired. I gotta go home. You know,
Super
tired.
Bowl.
Oh, no one wins. Oh, okay.
Super Bowl 53
Yeah.
just never
Never
ends
ends.
until they finally all are too old to play
Yeah.
anymore, and then it's just the last team that scores.
That'd be pretty
until-
legendary.
Before they drop.
But then how
dead
would
and they have to go on
we
their
do an after
deathbed
show? Is the question.
until we're all old.
Would
and
we just
crippled.
cover it live as alternative
Okay, so
audio?
ultimately
It's just
you're
like
taking the Pats.
I mean, listen.
This conversation.
This is subject to change, because I really do think the Eagles have a chance. It's just my gut is telling me Pats. So yeah, I'm gonna say
Okay.
Pats for now.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Foles is the weak link. He, didn't play.
But he can be. He okay, I'm letting you talk.
he
I'm
is
sorry.
he is
I'm
a
sorry.
link.
He,
I
I'm
haven't-
gonna let you finish.
I mean, no, Nick Foles. If I had to choose between Blake Bortles and Nick Foles, I'd probably pick Nick Foles. But it's not that much of a difference, which is a problem. And if I had to pick out the weak link, the Eagles defense is good. Tom Brady's on the other side.
Yeah.
Patriots defense is adequate. You know what I mean? If I had to pick a guy who's not going to do what they usually do, it'd be Nick Foles. And usually, I mean, by what we saw against the Vikings today.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why, okay, logically, I have to pick the Pats. But I hope Nick Foles does what he did today.
Yeah.
I agree. I also think that Nick Foles today kind of creates a target that maybe makes New England focus for the next 2 weeks on the pass that gives us a little more possibility of a run.
Yeah.
That I
Run.
could,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we have a
you're
run
capable of
game.
running, yeah.
We
I'd
have a
be
run
shocked to
game, and
see
then we
that.
have.
They're definitely going to put the ball in Nick Foles' hand.
I agree.
Without a doubt.
I agree, but if the Pats shut him down,
I feel
the Pats
so
shut him down
weird
on 2
about,
downs. We'll
like-
start giving it to Ajayi, and
I
he can get 10
honestly
yards.
feel like the Eagles do have a really good
They
chance.
have a chance.
They have proven
they absolutely
themselves
do.
to be so competitive.
absolutely
Their
do.
defense,
Yeah.
both sides of the ball, like they can definitely put up points against the Patriots defense, and they can also prevent
Yeah.
the Pats from scoring points. And I think that the defensive line is going to rush Brady. I think they have a great pass rush. They really have a good shot here.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't know. This is probably the last time we're going to see this whole coaching staff for the Pats together. And Brady,
Oh, the whole
Belichick,
staff, yes.
McDaniels. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Patricia.
Patricia's gone.
I feel like they have
McDaniel's gone.
something still. I mean, fighting for they've won 5 of these, getting their 6th.
Yeah,
really,
but
it just makes
no
sense.
one wants to kind of see it, but at the same time, I want to see it.
But to Steve's point, this is not a typical dominant New England Patriots
No, this is
team.
not.
I don't know. I'm rooting.
It's hard. It's so
Yeah.
hard.
I can see the Eagles winning it. It's just my
Right.
gut saying Patriots, and I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong.
Me too.
Sportsbooks have it
I was about to ask you that.
101 to 50 the money line, so
Two-
a hair above 2 to 1 on the Eagles.
What's the line? Take the points.
Sorry.
If I'm a gambling man, I take the points.
I know. This playoffs has really just solidified the fact that I'm so happy I do not gamble, that I don't bet on sports, because
Right.
I would be so wrong and lose a boatload of money.
Yeah, it's not fun coming from someone who was in Vegas last year and had the Falcons.
Both of these picks I had this weekend I lost.
That was
Last
fun.
weekend I
Life
lost.
A friend of mine a friend of mine who lives in Las Vegas missed my call,
Yeah.
or I would have, or had he taken my call, he would have given me the live line on the New England Patriots at halftime because I wanted it.
Yeah.
I wanted it partly because I felt
You
the
know what
NFL was
It was
rigged.
like 3.5.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It was absurd.
It
I,
should have been
don't know
absurd.
why I didn't take it. I think I had the Falcons, so I was like, let me just count my winnings. I'm not going to mess around with the second half line and hedge. And
Ah.
yeah.
Well,
All right, well, we got a week off Pro Bowl. I know we're all so excited on the edge of my seat. We're thrilled. We have a good old
Yeah.
Pro Bowl to get us through till Super Bowl weekend in Minnesota, but we got Pats, Eagles. Can't believe this matchup. I think
You
three
the
of
Patriots,
us.
right? You the Patriots?
I had the Patriots, yeah, because you know what? At this point, whatever team I pick doesn't matter anyway. I tried to do the whole reverse universe superstition. Like I tried to take the Eagles last week, and then the Vikings got demoralized.
Right. and then one quick thing: Eagles aren't home. This is a neutral field now.
Yeah.
I think Lincoln Financial helped them
Yeah,
throughout
it
the
did definitely
playoffs.
help
So
a lot.
I also think that's another
good point.
factor. So
yeah.
We
And,
will see what happens.
and not for nothing, Eagles fans travel
They travel super well.
real well,
So do
but
Pats
not
fans.
but not when the tickets are $5,000.
Yeah, seriously.
Like
These are just
I
random
was
people
just
going,
looking
season
at them.
ticket
I was looking at
holders.
them a week ago. Like that's way too much money.
All right, well, we got to wrap it up tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We saw that there was plenty of people in our live chat, and we
Thanks for
really
joining.
appreciate that. Thanks for watching. We will see you guys. I believe we're doing a Super Bowl show. Stay posted. Can't give you, not on Super Bowl Sunday. I think that's Tuesday. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything because we're not really sure the logistics of that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I might be drunk on Sunday.
Thanks
so.
for
I'm-
tuning in with us the entire season of the NFC East show, as well as now NFL Weekly and all of the playoffs that happened here at AfterBuzz TV. You can find me on Twitter at Jenna_Bussiere and our other panelists.
I'm Josh Rodriguez. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh_Rodriguez_. Come argue with me. Come like my tweets. Come refute my tweets. It's a good time. Good time on Twitter.
I'm Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter almost exclusively. That's at Steve Kaufmann, KAUFMANN. I'm also this time next week. I will be here covering WWE's Royal Rumble. It is a big deal. I'll be here talking about it.
Nice. Yes, and I'm DeAnjilo. You can hit me up on Twitter at DeAnjilo TV, or on Instagram at DeAnjilo. Baker Mayfield, I heart you.
Oh, really?
Baker
You
Mayfield.
wanted to go to the Skins. That's a possibility.
I'm cool with that.
That's what the rumors are saying.
I'm cool with it.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
all right, bye,
Bye,
guys.
Kirk. Bye, Kirk.
Stop.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.